Hare Krishna. So Arjuna, seeing the universal form, completely in wonder and fear, he spoke that how the universal form is visible to him and what are the different details in it. Especially he spoke about how this universal form is actually eating up or destroying everyone. Not just Duryodhana's army, but even the army of the Pāṇḍavas. Now after seeing all this, Arjuna got a question. Two important questions Arjuna is asking. Who are you? And what is your mission? Now hearing these two questions, now Bhagavan in that universal form is going to answer. So let's see the answer of Lord Shri Krishna in 3 verses starting from Shloka number 32. Śrī-bhagavān uvāca kālosmi loka-kṣaya-kṛt pravṛddho lokān samāhartum iha pravṛttaḥ rite tvāṁ na bhaviṣyanti sarve vasthitāḥ praty-anīkeṣu yodhāḥ. So here Lord is speaking, śrī-bhagavān uvāca, the Supreme Personality of Godhead in that universal form, he is speaking and he is giving the answers to the 2 questions of Arjuna. He says, kālaha asmi loka-kṣaya-kṛt pravṛddho. He is saying, kālaha asmi. Who am I? I am time. And then he describes this time. He says, pravṛddho, the great loka-kṣaya-kṛt, the great destroyer of the worlds. And then he says, firstly he spoke about who is he, and now he's speaking about what is his mission. He says, lokān samāhartum iha pravṛttaḥ. So why this universal form is manifesting? Why has he come here? He says, lokān samāhartum iha pravṛttaḥ. I have come here for what? Lokān samāhartum, to destroy all the people. So if suppose Arjuna has a question, you will destroy everyone, me also. Then he says, rite api tvāṁ na bhaviṣyanti sarve. He says that with the exception of the Pāṇḍavas, everyone else will be destroyed. And then he says, ye avasthitāḥ praty-anīkeṣu yodhāḥ. But all the soldiers here on both the sides will be slain. Now let's try to understand the entire scene that is happening, and then we'll get into the details of the shloka. So now the chariot of Arjuna is in between the 2 armies. So one side we have Pāṇḍavas, another side we have the Kauravas, and in between, on the order of Arjuna, Krishna has drawn the chariot in between the 2 armies. And now in the same place, in the chariot, Arjuna is getting darshan of the universal form of Lord Shri Krishna. And when he's getting this darshan, he's describing that how great this universal form is, how ferocious this universal form is, how horrifying this universal form is. Now after describing all that, now Arjuna, obviously the camera was on Arjuna, and now after the question was asked, now the camera shifts to Krishna. And now the universal form basically. I don't know how the camera can capture the universal form, but then it has shifted. So now the universal form is answering this question. Now here it's a very important thing to note. Arjuna is a best friend of Krishna. He knows Krishna. He has been, in fact in the future verses we'll see that Arjuna would be having his dinner, lunch, breakfast, everything with Krishna. He would be roaming around with Krishna. In fact, there have been times when Arjuna and Krishna, they are so tired, they're sleeping on the same bed. With so much of intimate relationship with Arjuna and Krishna had. But then, why these 2 questions? Who are you? Like just imagine, now a friend is there with us, and then we are asking him after some time, after some conversation we are asking, who are you? Now how odd that particular question is. And then the next question is more odd. What is your mission? So here Arjuna's state is completely different. That's what is described here very nicely. That although Arjuna knew that Krishna was his friend and the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he was puzzled by the various forms exhibited by Krishna. Therefore, he asked further about the actual mission of his devastating force. So here he was puzzled. He was not in his original state. This is what we need to understand. So these two questions which Arjuna is asking, he is asking the puzzled state, not in his original conscious state. And in that state he is asking this question. And now the mood has changed. The mood has changed from friendship. It has changed to wonder. That is Adbhuta Rasa. So from Sakhya Rasa, now it has changed to Adbhuta Rasa. And from Adbhuta Rasa, it got changed to Bhayanaka Rasa. And that is the mood of fear. And then here it is said about the time factor. Eventually all the Brahmanas, Kshatriyas and everyone else are devoured like a meal by the Supreme. This form of the Supreme Lord is the all-devouring giant, and here Krishna presents himself in that form of all-devouring time. Now this is a very, very, very important point, and that is mentioned here. So time will not spare anyone. This has to be clearly understood by all of us. Every single day when the time is passing, every time there's a tick on the clock, I'm talking not about the minute tick, I'm talking about the second tick. Even if there's a tick by the second hand, what's happening? We are actually getting closer and closer and closer to death. In fact, it is described, our current situation is like, as soon as we took birth in this world, there was a python which was already waiting outside the womb of our mother. As soon as we took birth and we were crying, the python came close to us. And then, with the passing of time, what is happening? The python is slowly and steadily, it's just gulping all of us. Some people, it has gulped half. For some people, it has gulped till the neck. And for some people, it has gulped till this point, only eyes are there. But still, since we don't know that a python is gulping us, we are living a life fearlessly thinking, no, I'm going to live for another 100 years. So this point has to be noted, that with time, with the passing of time, in fact, I shouldn't say passing, I should say with the flying of time, what's happening? We're actually getting closer and closer and closer to death. Now the question is, am I ready for the final exam, that is death? Am I ready or not? This is the question. And the ones who are practicing devotional service intensely, with the passing of time, with the flying of time, they are also progressing and advancing in Krishna consciousness. So, these personalities, these devotees, they are not going to meet death, they are going to meet Krishna at the end of their life. That's the difference between a materialist and a devotee. A materialist will surely meet death. And at times, when the person sees the death personified in front of him, a materialist, he passes stool and urine and he dies. But when it comes to a devotee sees Krishna, and then with a smiling face, with an effulgent face, with so much of positive aura, he leaves the body. This is the difference between the death of a materialist and the death of a devotee. Now the question is, who are we? Am I a materialist or am I a devotee? If I am a materialist, but since I am reading Bhagavad-gita, I have to transform myself into a devotee by intensely practicing devotional service every single day. Or else we have to be ready. Time will not take anyone's side. It will not do any partiality. It will just devour everyone. Everyone. And the worst part is, we cannot capture time. Why we cannot capture time? Because time is Krishna. He's saying, kālo, I am time. And Krishna is infinite. We cannot capture Krishna, we cannot capture time. The only thing that we can do is utilize time to practice devotional service, intensify the mood of devotional service, and finally be ready to get Sakshat Darshan of Lord Krishna at the end of life, at the last breath. So here it is said that except for a few Pāṇḍavas, everyone who was present on the battlefield would be devoured by him. Arjuna was not in favor of the fight, and he thought it was better not to fight, then there would be no frustration. In reply, the Lord is saying that even if he did not fight, every one of them would be destroyed. For that was his plan. If Arjuna stopped fighting, they would die in another way. So Arjuna was giving various reasons. We saw that in the first chapter. In one other place he was telling, no, I'll not fight. I'll just go to forest. But here, Lord is making a very important point. He's saying, see, you are saying that you don't want to fight. You are thinking that if you don't fight, all their lives will be saved. But oh Arjun, that is a foolish thought process. Why? Because I, as a time factor, kālo, I've already killed all of them. Already killed all of them. If you don't kill, what do you think? They'll be alive? No. The death will come in some or the other form. This is another important point for all of us. We cannot escape death, whatever it is. Even if we do a lot of makeup before we die, death will know that who the person is. It will not get confused. Even if you have plastic surgery, death will not get confused. It knows very well, the death personified knows very well who is the person whose expiry date has come close. So this point is very important, that we cannot escape death, but we can prepare for death. We can prepare for the last moment of our life, but we cannot escape the last moment of our life. This is the fact of this world. This is the fact of this dukkhalayam ashashvatam jagat. This is the fact. And that's what Krishna is telling here. What do you think? They all will be saved? No. Death will come in another way. And then here it is said, death could not be checked even if he did not fight. In fact, they were already dead. Time is destruction, and all manifestations are to be vanquished by the desire of Supreme Lord. That is the law of nature. So we say in English, as sure as death. So death cannot be stopped. Death cannot be stopped. And when we're speaking about death, we are not pessimistic. We are in fact optimistic. Why? Because we're speaking about death so that we prepare for it, so that we are ready. It's not that we pass stool and urine on the bed and die. We want to leave this body with an effulgent face, smiling and influencing everyone, inspiring everyone that this is how one should leave the body. So devotees are very much having this responsibility of practicing devotional service very intensely every single day, chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, in such a way that our tongue keeps vibrating, and even at the time of death, our tongue keeps vibrating. And in that vibration of the tongue, we leave this body. This is called as a glorious death. And a person who leaves the body like that, he breaks the cycle of birth and death for sure and goes back home, back to Godhead this very lifetime. Now, after speaking this, now Arjuna will have a question. Okay, so your kāla, your time, you have come to destroy everyone. So what is my job role? What is my job description? What am I supposed to do, O Krishna? You've already done everything. What am I supposed to do? Now this Krishna is answering in the next shloka. Let's see that in the next video. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna.